We do provide one-stop shop service. All the services of buying a property we offer to our customers, which includes the financial services, conveyancing. If you need finance loans, we can look after that. And then legal side of it. During the construction, we look at the quality assurance part of it. End of the construction, we do the takeover process of the properties, and then it goes to our property management division, where we will try to find the good tenants for you and manage the property until you want to resell again.
How exactly do you help a Sri Lankan business to diversify into Australia?
So any company in Sri Lanka would like to expand your presence in Australia, getting to the market penetration is the difficult part. As a Sri Lankan company, being not having any experience or exposure into the Australian market segment. So we are going to fill that gap and helping Sri Lankan companies to go out there, set up your businesses, start exporting your products and services into the Australian market. So we actually been helping products, goods and services, software companies, and different spectrum of services that we can penetrate into Australian market, commercial division. And also we are trying to fill another gap where human resources are very expensive in Australia. So Australian companies can now resource human resources from the Sri Lankan skilled labour market.
So we can actually establish a market diagnostic to identify, is what they're doing here needed in Australia? Is what they're doing here something that people will see as being of benefit of value? So we can actually take the time, because we put ourselves ahead of their business, to actually, by the time that they catch up to us, we're ready to explore the opportunity to create a new market for them over there. That can be everything from opening a new sales channel through to actually running the business before they come. So quite often what we can do is we can actually find a site for them. We can establish networks and contracts for them. We can actually run a virtual business 12 months in advance. When they're ready to make the move and put their own staff over there, we can step back and hand the keys over effectively to them to be able to run it and hopefully grow it in the way that it should be grown.
People are always on the lookout for investment opportunities. Today's conversation would focus on smart investments. Now, I had a conversation earlier with the group chairman of SA Thomson Nerys, Mr. Sanjika Aberatna, and we spoke about investing in property in Australia and how exactly to make a smart investment. So SA Thomson Nerys is a property development and investment firm that identifies emerging opportunities in the market. They offer a comprehensive range of services to clients. So they more or less act as a one-stop shop for all your needs, such as purchasing property, identifying high growth areas, and also managing your property. So today I will be in conversation with the group chairman, Sanjika Aberatna, and with Paul Edwards, the head of commercial projects in Melbourne. Welcome.
Thank you, Alanki.
Thank you, Alanki.
Before we proceed, I would like to mention that you can always refer their website, sathomson.com.au, for further information. So as we begin this conversation, Mr. Aberatna, can you explain again in a nutshell, so that it would be a recap for our audience, what exactly is a smart investment and how does SA Thomson Nerys facilitate this?
Yes, Alanki. Thank you for doing this conversation again. And last time, yes, we did in detail discussion of how to do a smart investment. But as a recap, what we are trying to do is, traditionally, a lot of people go and buy property and wait till it grows. So basically, you're spending the full amount and buying a property in any area and thinking that it's going to go over 3-4 years time, and then get the returns out of that investment, which is fine, no problem, which is traditionally works. But we are trying to add more to it and make it more smarter strategy for property investors. Right. So what we do is we identify high growth potential locations in Melbourne based on the large scale government funded projects. So we go to those areas before these big projects finish. So then we lock it in at the today's price for properties that are settling into the future. Could be 1 year, 1.5 years, 6 months, like that. So expecting that during that time, land price goes up, construction material price goes up, human resources cost goes up. But you are holding a property at a today's price, but holding cost is about 5% or 10%. So you're not utilizing the entire funds for that investment. So by the time it comes to settlement, then you have an instant equity. So you can settle the land and build on it within 6 to 8 months period, where while the construction is happening, if you want, you can sell it into the market with the margins you expected to achieve through those investments. So that is a smart investment, because the ROI, return on investment, goes very high, because you are not actually holding the entire cost of the investment. You are actually spending 5 to 10% while achieving the growth potential of the entire investment. So that strategy we are bringing into our property investors. The key to achieve this is to go to the right locations. So our research and development team identify those high growth potential locations in Australia, specifically in Victoria, Melbourne, so then you can achieve these growth investments, which is why we call smart investments.
And it's not just identifying high growth areas in when purchasing property, but you also manage the property and guide clients through the legal procedures and so on.
Yes, because we do provide one-stop shop service. All the services of buying a property we offer to our customers, which includes the financial services, conveyancing. If you need finance loans, we can look after that. And then legal side of it. One, during the construction, we look at the quality assurance part of it. End of the construction, we do the takeover process of the properties, and then it goes to our property management division, where we will try to find the good tenants for you and manage the property until you want to resell again. And that is a one strategy if you are renting it out, or we can sell without even renting with the margins. So all the services, and when after that, accounting needs, taxation, all these services we do offer. Now we are offering additionally the commercial services as well, if you are trying to diversify into Australian markets, which Paul will later get into that.
Indeed. Paul, could you tell us about the commercial division of SA Thomson Nerys?
So the commercial division really came out of complementing the property division. So we recognise that quite often we come over and talk to families or businesses about what to do with their residential goals and buying investment properties from house and land. What we worked out was that we were missing a space around land developments. We were missing a space around commercial projects such as warehousing, industrial factories, even retail stores as well. So by developing the opportunity to complement the real estate business, we actually opened up the doors to conversations with businesses that we hadn't previously been in touch with. And what we also realised that a lot of families that were looking at investment properties for residential didn't understand how the commercial worked, so therefore they didn't ask the question. So being able to have that opportunity to actually ask about commercial development, not just residential, has actually opened a brand new door for us.
All right. How exactly do you help a Sri Lankan business to diversify into Australia?
Yeah, really good point. So the question that I always ask is more so around when is the right time and how do you make that part of your strategy? And I come across a lot of businesses who think that they've got to be in Australia merely to diversify. And quite often they can change their why. We sit down with them and actually understand, is Australia the right move for them? And once we discover that it is, then what does that look like? How long does it take? Is it literally just replicating either the products or services you have to bring to Australia? Or is it about making some slight nuances in the services or products that then adapt to Australia? We have a really large Sri Lankan community now in Australia. And what they look for is, they don't necessarily look for all the things they could find back home. What they look for is things that have been adapted to Australia to be able to utilise because they know the brands well. And therefore, we can open up new markets for companies over there before they get there as well.
So in my earlier conversation, we actually spoke about investing in property in Australia, but I don't think we really got to get into detail about the commercial division of SA Thomson Nerys. So what I do gather is your company is not just confined to property investments, but also to businesses in Sri Lanka who wish to diversify beyond Sri Lanka to Australia.
Yeah, basically in the commercial division is a broader division that we started. It's not just limited to property. So as Paul mentioned, we do land development, large-scale townhouse apartment development projects. At the same time, companies in Sri Lanka need to go out of the borders and start conquer the world and earning dollars. That's what we need here in Sri Lanka. So we are creating a bridge to come to Australia and get into the Australian market. So any company in Sri Lanka would like to expand your presence in Australia, getting to the market penetration is the difficult part. As a Sri Lankan company, being not having any experience or exposure into the Australian market segment. So we are going to fill that gap and helping Sri Lankan companies to go out there, set up your businesses, start exporting your products and services into the Australian market. So we actually been helping products, goods and services, software companies, and different spectrum of services that we can penetrate into Australian market. That is that we do market analyzing and positioning of your products and services into the Australian demand based on the Australian demand and the markets. So we do offer that service through our commercial division, and also we are trying to fill another gap where human resources are very expensive in Australia. So Australian companies can now resource human resources from the Sri Lankan skilled labor market. So we are trying to fill that gap through our commercial division. So Paul is heading that division. So that's our main focus on our commercial division.
So one of the things we realise with businesses is that we can be the forward party, if you like. We can be out there in front of the business. I talk a lot to my clients about what you want is someone that is 6 months ahead of where you are, so that they can focus on the today. We're planning for the tomorrow. So we can actually establish a market diagnostic to identify, is what they're doing here needed in Australia? Is what they're doing here something that people will see as being of benefit of value? So we can actually take the time, because we put ourselves ahead of their business, to actually, by the time that they catch up to us, we're ready to explore the opportunity to create a new market for them over there. That can be everything from opening a new sales channel through to actually running the business before they come. So quite often what we can do is we can actually find site for them. We can establish networks and contracts for them. We can actually run a virtual business 12 months in advance. When they're ready to make the move and put their own staff over there, we can step back and hand the keys over effectively to them to be able to run it and hopefully grow it in the way that it should be grown. The staffing side's a really fascinating one, because what we also realised was Sri Lanka traditionally has a talent drain, that once people finish their GCEs or their advanced levels, they tend to leave the country to go and do their studying. Well, they might do international study here, but the relevancy to their occupation tends to be offshore. What we wanted to do was to create an environment for professional services where they could actually train and develop and improve their skills, increase their value here by working for an overseas company without having to leave the country. And what we created was, we didn't want a call centre. We didn't want a typical contact centre that a lot of companies in Australia, Canada, the US or Europe outsource. We wanted to offshore. And the fundamental difference is the staff that we have working here work one-to-one for a company. So they don't work for a corporate that might have multiple hundreds of clients reporting in or ringing in. They work one-to-one. They're effectively a team member of that company. They provide their labour and their time to assist the Australian business to grow. And therefore the Australian companies actually see them as a value resource to actually be able to train and develop. So we put in training and development here as well.
All right, that's interesting. So it's not just about investing in property or expanding your business into Australia, but you actually give them sufficient attention, and you do research as well, I assume.
Yeah, we do. So with each of the companies that we work with, we're not afraid to say no. So we've worked with some companies where we've said, we just don't think the product will work here. And we had a really good one where it's currently working in Europe and it's working in some areas of Asia, but Australia doesn't need this product because we've got plenty of space. We're not bound by certain areas in Asia which actually are space cramped. So this product just would have no cut through. It's not required here. So we actually spent a month going through a whole marketing plan around what would be the opportunity to bring this product to Australia, and we couldn't find the way through. So we
Right.
went back to the client and said, we just don't think Australia's a market for you yet. Now, in 10 years' time, it might be, but not
But
yet.
not right now.
So they didn't waste a whole heap of forward capital by bringing equipment, bringing expertise, looking to try and cut an engineering or a construction business through for something that wasn't going to work.
Mhm.
They were better focusing more of their efforts and more of their capital in the markets where it is working.
Right.
Yeah, that's a very important point because I have seen some large-scale corporate sector companies from Sri Lanka went to Australia thinking that you can get into the Australian market, spend money, time, resources, set up operations, but actually fail because that's because you haven't done the proper analysis of the market, how it works. So we need to give you true market insights through the experience from the Australian business community, so then you can see whether there's a need for such products or not. If not, you can actually look at alternatives and how other ways we can come to Australian market. So that service is what we clearly trying to provide through our commercial division.
Indeed. If you're to shift our focus back to property investments in Australia, is it a good time to invest in property in Australia now?
Alanki, this is a very, I think, important question because now globally, a lot of countries had financial issues, downtimes, and a lot of countries increased their interest rates in the banking sector. So the borrowing capacity of the people has reduced because of high interest rates, including Sri Lanka, I guess, and therefore people couldn't borrow from banks to buy investment properties. Therefore, less number of buyers in the market. Therefore, property prices went down. That was the historically what has happened, including Australia, because Australia is one of the country throughout the COVID, after the COVID, and throughout the COVID, maintaining interest rates, bank interest rates below 2%. So you can borrow. Now it's not the case. Now starting at about 6.5%. So less number of people buying. So the property market went down. So actually, this is a time if you go there as an investor, because now you can find bargains. Even a land developer, even a builder, they have reduced their margins to get more volumes, right? So you need more sales. So what you need to do, everybody have to reduce their margins to sell more because less number of people in the market. Now, just to give you a little bit of info, last year, to December 2022, the inflation figure of Australia went up to 7.8%, which is after 1980s. That was the highest it went. So the government had no option but to increase the interest rates. So they increased the interest rates from below 2% to 6.5 today. And now, because of that, country's inflation start to control. Now it's come down to 5.4. Now today, if you go to Reserve Bank of Australia website, it is come down. Has come down to 4.1%. So the ideal threshold for an economy to be sustained and be healthy is to be between 2 to 3%. So the predictions are that we will hit that margin by next quarter or two, June, July period. They will look at whether it's going to be stabilized. So if it is, then the government can start cutting down interest rates. The Reserve Bank can do that. We predict towards the end of this year, we could see some rate cuts, the bank interest rates rate cuts. So what happens when the interest rates come down, the borrowing capacity of the people goes up. So then people can go and buy properties. That's where the property market's going to go up. So we think that's going to start towards the end of this year. So if you are an investor, better block it now at this lowest price points, and you don't have to spend the whole amount with our smart investment strategy where you can block by paying 5% on a house and land package and settle in another 1 year down the track. So definitely when you are settling during 1 year down the track, so the market has moved upwards because interest rates start to cut down. That is why I think it's one of the best times to go if you go as an investor. Even if you are trying to buy a house for you to live as a first home buyer or a principal place of residency, there are bargains in the market, but the problem is the borrowing capacity has come down.
And how has the Australian property market performed over the recent years?
Strong.
Yeah.
It's probably stronger than other countries, mainly for one reason. We do a lot of planning in advance as a country in terms of where our growth areas should be. and then we try and match that to the infrastructure development that's going to be put in place. So in actual fact, there's already a margin built in to whatever is going to be built as an investor buying in now. And therefore you get the benefit in a couple of years' time because the infrastructure follows along with it. So we do a lot of, especially in Victoria, there's a lot of schools, a lot of hospitals, community centres, community parks, green wedge zones. They're all now planned in advance of the residential zone. So a lot of people actually already know what the residential zone is likely to be from a built-in cost point of view, but it also means that it's got an inherent growth factor because as those things get finished and built, people are looking for those schools for their kids. They're looking for someone with good health facilities close by, and just generally a lifestyle that actually befits a new suburb. There's a lot of other countries where they will build because people are just there rather than plan for where they want people to go. Right. And that's something that Australia's really concentrated on, is you build where people are going to go because you can see where the growth corridors become, not just build because people are just congregating there to live.
Yeah, adding to that, Alanki, I think Australia is one of the countries which the financial system is highly regulated, which is another strong point. And we had the economy came out of recession after COVID situation, first country in the world to come out of the recession. That because we had a strong financial regulations. Borrowing is not very easy if you don't have the repayment capacities. So it's highly regulated and well planned. If you compare to other countries, if you go to China, for example, you see buildings of buildings coming. Most of them are empty sometimes in some streets. But we don't have that thing. So it's a well planned. Cities are planned. Even though Australia got so much of land, it's not releasing unnecessarily. So that planning makes the country's economy stronger. Adding to that, it's a country with a lot of other avenues, migration, international students, agriculture, natural resources, and throughout the year sporting calendar. If it is Melbourne, every month we have some international level event happening which boosts the tourism into it. So there are multiple factors that drives the economy, makes it stronger compared to the rest of the world.
I was in fact going to ask you, some Australian cities are ranked as the world's best cities to live in, such as Melbourne. What are the determining factors? Is it the quality of life?
Yeah. So normally there's most livable cities in the world ranked every year. Now, 3-4 years ago, Melbourne was 6 in a row most livable city in the world. But Melbourne now grown bigger, population is higher, so to maintain that, we need to maintain the quality of living, income, crime rates, health sector, doctors ratios per capita, and all of these information. So now, to 2023 most livable cities list, number 3 is Melbourne, which is good. So even that we have such a big population, we are still maintaining number 3, and 2 cities in Australia is now within top 5 list in the most livable cities, which shows a lot of people wanted to migrate. And if you look at the countries that people want to migrate, Australia is, I think, performing top of the list. So that attraction is because of the people's living conditions and affordabilities and earning conditions. So that's why everybody wants to migrate or to expand into Australia even for business diversification as well.
And people who are watching this, who are interested in investing or diversifying their businesses into Australia, will want to know exactly how secure these investments are. What will you have to say to them?
If it is, Paul will get into the commercial side of it, but if it is an residential properties, any non-resident can buy a property with the government approval. So we are getting our investors to buy a property with the Australian government approval, which we call FIRB, Foreign Investment Review Board approval. So they go through and give you a permission to come and buy a property. That's number 1. Number 2 is that you're buying a property under your name. It's not leasehold or anything. It's a freehold under your name. It passes the ownership after you to your children, to your family. It's not going to go away like some other countries. So you're buying a property for you, for your generations in the family, and these investments are property. And compared to share market, this is a physical asset. Even if any downtime happens, that physical asset remains under you. So the security wise is one of the best country to have a property investment, and there's a very minimum red tape in doing these things, and everything is regulated and formal. So the process is clear, and there's no irregularities in doing this process. So clear cut, and you can do your investments with very safe and secure way. And commercial also same thing.
Commercial's changed a lot because it took a while for Australia to realise it's not a manufacturing country anymore. We're always really heavy manufacturing because we need to be self-sufficient. We're now a real international logistics hub. So there's a lot of new warehouse builds. There's a lot of land development that is centred around logistics and supply. And two of the largest international logistics companies have now set up the second largest undercover storage in Australia, in Melbourne. And so therefore we started to work out that by pivoting to what you're good at actually has a greater level of return. And so there's a lot of new investors that are actually focusing on mid-sized warehousing, on logistics and supply chain development from overseas to Australia as well. Queensland's one of the fastest growing states anywhere in the world, and it's built on the back of having a better supply chain from the other cities, but also then be able to adopt a better supply chain from overseas. So I think once we started to rationalise that we weren't a manufacturing country anymore, we adopted the change and moved quite quickly. And therefore, what people are investing in now is actually where the future of the commercial project should be in another 5 to 10 years. So those that are moving in now will actually gain the benefit of that over those years as well.
And there is a team in Sri Lanka.
Yes.
And do you have a team of investment advisors to guide clients and to provide property management support in Sri Lanka?
Alanki, in Sri Lanka, we have a fully operational office at our number 61 Dharmapala, the Colombo 7, which we call it as a customer hub, where people can come here and investigate and analyze what are the best investment locations, go through the property options, builders and floor plans, houses, apartments, everything we can go through here. We have a trained staff here to support you, and even we have it's linked to our property management division in Melbourne. If you have a property in Melbourne under our management, you can walk into our Colombo office and get all the services as you are walking into an office in Melbourne anytime. So it's all linked, and also linked to our other offices in Dubai and Singapore as well. So it's integrated offices where we do services to our customers wherever the location is.
And where else are you based?
We are operating in Dubai, and we do offer high growth potential Australian investment to Dubai. At the same time, we are now offering Dubai properties if somebody wants to buy, and also set up businesses, and through that people are looking at visa options and all. So we do offer that service as well. And also we have office in Singapore, which we do provide Australian investments into the Singaporean markets.
And if anyone is interested, before we head to the final question, if anyone is interested and they want to contact you, how can they do so?
I think, Alanki, the best is get into our website, sathomson.com.au, and it has the contact numbers of all officers. So just call the Colombo office and make an appointment and come here. Our friendly staff will go through the end-to-end process, go through the options. Mostly our main target is to provide the right information. So, sometimes Melbourne CBD apartments, people need apartments because their children going there, but the growth potential is not much because there's oversupply. If you go buying apartment, I think it's need another reason why you need to buy apartment, whether could be your children going to university, security, ease, and also if you're looking for high growth potential, capital gains, then you need to go to high growing house and land options. We do provide and go through all the inside out information about investing in Australia property, and also through here we can connect to our commercial division to get advice on commercial matters, diversifying into Australia and all through our Colombo office. So we are inviting and welcoming everyone to come and see our staff and see how to invest in Australian property market.
And finally, I'd like to know, it's very important if a business or company is to thrive that you have a very good relationship with your clients. What has this relationship been like between SA Thomson Nerys and your clients?
That's very important point because we have clients, been clients for many years. So our vision is once a client is a client for life, because we always be with them to provide the right information. As long as you are providing the right information, and then they'll stay with us, because more than the business, it's about guiding in the right direction. So most of our clients are very long-term clients. Our business today is growing not because of advertising or marketing, mainly because of referrals from the existing clients. That's what we value the business, and we are so proud and honored of being into that position, because our clients, we always look after them when they come to Australia, and we provide all the right information and provide the critical information when they are looking at investing in Australia.
We had a meeting with the client the other night where the comment I took away from it was, he said, if someone like me had have just walked up to him and tried to sell him the same property that Sanjika had, of knowing Sanjika for so long, he just wouldn't have bought it from me, no matter what price I offered, if I was from somewhere else, because he trusts Sanjika,
Right.
he trusts the business, and he trusts the outcomes. And
I
that
think
was the
that
part that stuck
security
with
is
me.
really important.
Exactly.
Security is really important, and also we are driving our business in three main things: confidentiality, reliability, and stability. That confidentiality sits on the top, because this is a very important factor when you are dealing with high profile clients, which we are always valuing that. So our reliability and stability comes next when you're making a decision making. I think that's the number one in our business, helping people to diversify into Australia.
All right. Thank you
Plus,
very
he's a
much.
nice guy.
I'm sure he is. This is my second conversation with him and my first with you. Thank you for your time and for this discussion. I'm sure it will be useful to those watching who are interested in investing in property or businesses in Australia. So I do hope you found this comprehensive discussion useful. Do remember, once again, if you wish to contact them, you can refer their website. I will place the website address below the video in the description box. Thank you everyone for watching. Do stay safe, take care, and God.